Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Jaguar press event and welcome to everyone watching online.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're very proud to introduce a new Jaguar intelligent aluminium architecture, a high technology foundation for our future product offering. It's the product of Jaguar Land Rover's world-class leadership in aluminium engineering. And more importantly, it provides flexibility to develop a broad and more accessible range of Jaguars that will all deliver fun, efficiency and driving pleasure to a whole new generation of Jaguar owners.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, CX-17 is a concept vehicle that highlights the future potential of the Jaguar brand. It's a vehicle that demonstrates how far we could go with our new aluminium architecture. It's an innovative sports crossover. One uniquely combines our exciting sports car heritage with flexibility, usability and space like never before. It is a Jaguar in a completely different form. It demonstrates our desire to push the boundaries of technology, performance and, of course, design.
Well, you just witnessed something that is bound to make headlines, the reveal of Jaguar's CX-17 concept car. Now it's your opportunity to discover more about this groundbreaking vehicle and this evening's exciting announcements. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll be joined by some of Jaguar's key people who will reveal more. And we'll be giving you the very first look at this concept car in action, so do stay with us. My name is Ginny Buckley, your host for this afternoon's event, live from Frankfurt. Now, many of the world's motoring press won't get to see this car until tomorrow morning when this year's motor show kicks off. But your exclusive access begins right now, and the team at Jaguar would love to hear your reactions to the concept car behind me. The Twitter hashtag is CX17, and you can join the conversation with Julian Thompson, one of the key members of the design team, right now on Instagram. Now, one of the main parts of this story is engineering, and my first guest is the man responsible for it, Kevin Stride. Welcome, Kevin. I know only too well just how long a project of this magnitude is in the planning. How did it feel sitting up here watching the wraps come off?
Well, of course, after all of the work, we've been working for nearly 4 years now with a very large team. It's so exciting to see such a tremendous concept show what we can do.
One of the very exciting parts of this car is what's underneath the skin. It's something that we can't really see. Just talk us through this new architecture and also what kind of job that you and the team had to do there.
Well, the architecture underneath CX-17 is Jaguar's new intelligent aluminium architecture. it really is a set of technologies that's going to underpin some really exciting, authentic Jaguars of the future. So when we've set out to set this architecture, we need to understand what's going to make a Jaguar a great Jaguar.
So where do you start with a project of that magnitude, with just a blank piece of paper, and I imagine you ended up with a huge team?
We did, and we've got, at any one point in time, we have over 900 engineers right now working on these projects, and it will get larger. We have to start from what are the elements that are going to give Ian and his team the ability to create fantastic designs like CX-17 down there, and also to make sure that the Jaguar driving experience is uncompromised. So we will select technologies that really deliver the authentic Jaguars that the world will want and desire in the future.
And of course we see one of the possibilities here. As you say, what's really exciting about this new architecture is the potential that it offers you as a brand. How far can you take it?
Well, it is indeed highly flexible, and I think at the moment we're probably only going to be limited by our imagination.
Okay, Kevin, thanks very much for joining us, showing your insight there. Now it's time for a world exclusive. Let's take a first look at the Jaguar CX-17 in action. First look images there of CX-17 in action. What did you make of it? Don't forget to let us know. The Twitter hashtag is at CX-17. Now, very pleased to welcome Jaguar's Global Brand Director, Adrian Hallmark. Adrian, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We've just been hearing from Kevin about the enormous potential that this architecture offers you as a brand. And of course, you've already announced one production car that's going to be based on it. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, clearly that production car is a very important car for Jaguar. It will sit in the biggest segment in the premium car market globally. It's also the most competitive segment, so we're absolutely dedicated to bringing the highest technology we can and really being able to compete in that segment.
So just remind us, when are we going to see that car? What's the time scale?
So we've said 2015 is when we'll actually launch the car. We'll probably show it before then, but that's the kind of time scale we're talking about.
I mean, it's quite a punchy thing to do, to be fair, isn't it? This is, as you said, it's the most competitive sector of the market.
Yep.
It's fair to say it's dominated by our hosts here, the Germans.
Yep.
Do you have what it takes to cut through in that really difficult marketplace?
We've asked ourselves that the same question many times. I think the first ambition we have is to change the vocabulary from the German 3 to the European 4, and we want to be one of the European 4. And we know to do that we've got to bring great technology, great design and great driving dynamics. And with the aluminium architecture, this gives us a foundation to be able to build a light car, a refined car, and compete in both CO2 and high performance stakes. And you know what Ian Callan can do. He can make a car look the best in the world, so we have a great formula.
Well, let's turn and talk about the car that he's responsible for this evening, just there behind us. Some people may question how that car, CX-17, sits alongside your stablemate Land Rover.
Another good question. Clearly, when we set out to develop this concept car, which is not yet confirmed as a real car, it's a concept, this was part of the idea to test that fit. Clearly, Jaguar has a great world-class reputation for dynamic, agile, on-road performance. And Land Rover is the benchmark globally for off-road performance. So if we did a crossover, such as CX-17, its orientation would be on-road, not off-road. So I think from both the technical aspect, the dynamism of the vehicle, but also the sheer design, they're very clearly differentiated. And in such a large SUV and crossover market, there's more than enough space for both.
The big announcements that you've come out with tonight, what do they mean for your existing customers and also for the potential to bring new customers to the brand?
I think both. Well, if we start with existing customers, we're going to offer a broader range of cars. So there are customers that we have today that have more than an XF or an XJ in their garage. They have other products outside of that. So now Jaguar can offer more to replace other needs that they have elsewhere. But I think more importantly, by bringing this technology into the next segment, price segment down, the biggest segment in the premium marketplace, we open up again to a huge spectrum of people and a broader audience, more global, probably younger, because the cars can be more affordable. But still, we will deliver the world's first aluminium technology in these lower price segments. So I think that in itself, that combination, will give us a great basis for expansion. That
commitment to aluminium technology is really big news for Jaguar, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we've been very successful in the top-end segments for many years, since the previous XJ. But if we look at CO2 and the challenges we face for the future, and the need to build a refined, light and agile car, for us it's the perfect combination.
Adrian, thanks for joining us up here. I'm sure you need to get back down there and talk to a few people, get some reactions.
Absolutely.
Well now, Design Director Ian Callum is dashing up here from the stage, I think. While we put a microphone on it, here's some more exclusive footage for you to take a look at.
I think for the first time in Jaguar's history, we've had a aluminium architecture which is truly adaptive to produce a wide variety of very, very exciting cars.
The designer really can set up the form of the car, really working closely with the engineers right from the start. That's the critical point. We design the car together.
The other benefits to the customer are the more long-term benefits, so the cars are more durable. They don't have the same corrosion issues that you would have with a steel-intensive vehicle. We've saved over 100 kilos compared to a conventional steel body, and that brings obvious benefits, not just in fuel economy and CO2, but in performance of the vehicle.
Well, we just heard there from some of his team. With me now, the man himself, hot off the stage, Design Director Ian Callum. How does it feel? There's an incredible buzz. Have you had a chance to gauge any reactions on your dash up here?
Apart from looking at the audience from, you know, the whites of their eyes up on the stage, not really, but you can see here, it's fantastic. I mean, it feels great, I have to say. Wonderful, wonderful feeling.
It's an exciting time. What was interesting in the film that we saw just before the car was launched was you talking about how great design, how it should always tell a story. What's the story with CX-17?
Well, every car tells a story for the individual, but for us, the story for this car really is adventure. It's adventure about the brand, about moving forward, we're creating new ideas all the time. And this car really is about adventure, but moving into territory that we don't really know about. And it's something we're going to find out about very soon, I think. But I think it's working very well for us. But it's also a story for the customer who wants something that's very practical, very functional, but also they want a Jaguar and its true value. And that's the adventure for the customer.
Was that really important for you as design director, that whilst this is obviously, this isn't what we expect to see at a Jaguar car reveal, not at all, but that it still had to be very true to those core values, it still had to reflect the brand?
Absolutely, our values are steeped in our past, and we in design understand them very, very well. And what I said to the design team is I don't want to design a crossover and shape it like a Jaguar. That's not how it works. For us, we had to design something which was a Jaguar that also happened to be a crossover. I know it sounds a little bit simplistic, but it's actually a very subtle way of approaching it. And that's what we've done. We've actually started off the whole ethos, the values of Jaguar in terms of style and, of course, performance, and created a crossover from that. And that was so important to us. Otherwise, it's not true to its values, not true to the brand. It's a very special brand, as you know. It has very particular values about style and elegance, and of course performance.
As a designer, often you're designing new product, you're having to work with existing architecture. It must have been quite liberating, actually, to have effectively a blank piece of paper.
It was terrific. You know, we designed an architecture here that's going to give us the flexibility we've never had before. You know, in the past when we're creating cars, there have always been restraints or constraints of some kind, based on our past in some ways. But now we have an architecture that's flexible. This architecture is so flexible we can create something like this. Or as Adrian mentioned earlier, we're going to create a small saloon car off it as well. And it allows me as a designer to create the proportions that I want. We're not going to have the proportions of the car. The visual and visceral excitement is going to come out of that adaptability. It's so important, and it's fantastic.
Of course, one of the big stories tonight is the commitment to aluminium.
Yes.
What's that like as a designer to work with?
Aluminium is actually quite difficult from a design point of view. It's not a very forgiving metal. It has great attributes as weight and mass, of course. We all know about that. And that's the great asset of aluminium, and that's why we are pursuing it. In terms of creating the overall shape and form of the car, it's very challenging. But we're so good at this now. I think we're so good at least. We've been doing it for almost 15 years. We're probably world leaders in knowing what to do with aluminium. And so we approach the challenge with complete vigour and complete energy. And we know how to get through those in a way that perhaps 7 or 8 years ago we didn't. So it's challenging, but we're up for it.
Is it appealing for you that this now opens you up to potentially a whole new breed of customer? Is that quite an exciting opportunity?
Oh, hugely. You know, I've come to realise that around the world there's generations of people that only know this kind of vehicle. It's what they've grown up with. And it's about time we actually realise that, recognise it, and bring younger people who love this sort of car into our brand and understand that we can be pretty cool.
I can't possibly let you go without asking the one question that everybody wants to ask and you don't want to answer, which is when you see a concept car like this, is it going to become a production reality? It looks fairly production ready to me.
Yeah, it's pretty feasible actually. One of the reasons we brought the car here is to see if we have the permission as a brand to go into this direction. You can't just march a brand into a new direction and expect it's going to happen. So we're looking for permission. And if we get that permission, it looks like we might have had it actually, looking here today, we may think about building it, but I can't say for definite.
So that's the permission from the people. We want reaction to this car. We need them to get onto Twitter.
Yeah. That's not what you think. I'm pretty thick-skinned. I can take it.
Well, you're not denying it. There you go.
I'm not denying it, no.
I think on that note, sadly, we have to leave it. Well, we've heard from some of the people behind the concept behind me, but let's go to the floor now where I'm joined by Editor-in-Chief of What Car magazine, Chaz Hallett. It's very noisy down there, Chaz. I don't know if you can hear me okay, but this is quite a departure from what we traditionally expect to see at a Jaguar unveiling. What are your initial thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, I've only had a few minutes to take it all in, but it certainly looks terrific, doesn't it? I mean, wherever you go in the world, this is a really hot sector. Crossovers and SUVs are what everyone's buying around the world, and this is a new Jaguar crossover, and it looks like all the things a crossover should be, but it also looks like a Jaguar. It's very pretty, it looks very sporty, it's slow, it's sleek, it looks terrific, and I think the noise probably indicates how much everyone likes it.
We've also heard tonight, of course, about the first production car to come off this new architecture, and I mean, Jaguar couldn't have chosen to enter a more competitive sector, could they? What do you think your readers are going to make of that?
Well, our readers are going to look forward to it because they've been waiting for a proper BMW 3 Series rival from Jaguar for a long time, but it is a really tough market and Jaguar really needs to get it right. It needs to be priced right, it needs to look right, it needs to drive brilliantly, but also it has to have really low CO2 and good running costs. And it looks like, you know, the new aluminium architecture should give them that, all things being well.
Okay, Chaz, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us this evening. Sadly, that's all we have time for. A big thanks to you for joining us live here in Frankfurt. We hope you've enjoyed this exclusive preview of the Jaguar CX-17. Don't forget to let the Jaguar team know what you think about their concept car. You can find out more at jaguar.com. For now, from me, Jaguar, and the new CX-17, good night.